Hey YouTube, what's going on? Today's going to be a little bit of a different video because today I kind of just wanted to sit down and discuss my thoughts on the current state of Siege, because I honestly think the game is going in the wrong direction, and I kind of just wanted to sit here and kind of vent my frustration and the frustration of many other people I've talked to in the community that don't really have a platform to speak on it. I got the inspiration to make this video from Ricci. He made a really great video discussing a lot of the same points that I did in this video. However, I have some more stuff that I'd like to bring up that Ricci didn't talk about, and I'd like to go more in detail on some of the reasons why I think that Siege is going down the wrong path. Either way though, go check out Ricci's video. I'll have it in the description. Now, I think the first and probably the biggest problem with Siege right now, and especially with the recent announcements that Ubisoft has been making, I think Siege is in a terrible state when it comes to balancing. Blackbeard has been absolutely broken for a very long time, and so have other shield operators, Blitz more specifically. They've just been absolutely dominating the meta. Pretty much every game you're gonna see attackers pricking shield operators, and they're gonna absolutely run through the defense because they have just way too many tools at their disposal. They can jump through windows, they can get up so close to you and melee you, knock you onto the ground and kill you, and you can do nothing about it. And with impacts being so much worse than they used to be, it's a lot harder to counter shield operators. So this leads to really annoying matches where the enemy team picks one or two shield operators, and they'll pick like a Dokkaebi as well, who's been extremely overpowered recently, and you just get absolutely ran through when you're trying to roam. But there are still other really problematic operators as well outside of just those I've mentioned. There's a Zami who, in my opinion, has been needing another nerf for a very long time because she's still incredibly strong, and Legion has been arguably the strongest operator in the game for probably a year now, maybe two. Those operators definitely need changes as well. And then I also think there's a lot of contenders for operators that need to be buffed that Ubisoft has just not touched. Those include Thorn, Sins, which Ubisoft tried to buff, but they really didn't do much to fix a lot of Sins' glaring issues. Caveira, who's been in a really weak state for pretty much forever, and Ubisoft has pretty much not touched her. And then there's the obvious Tachanka, Kali, and then I think IQ could also need a buff as well. Now, the reason why I'm naming off these operators is because Ubisoft has announced some recent balancing changes that are going to be coming in Siege X, and we haven't heard anything regarding buffs or nerfs for these operators that pretty much the whole community agrees need some changes. Instead, Ubisoft decided to nerf Capitao and buff Jaeger by making Jaeger's ADSs now destroy Jaeger's Capitao crossbow bolts when they go past an ADS, which in my opinion was not necessary. I think Jaeger's problem is not with his ADSs. Jaeger doesn't really need any sort of buffs when it comes to his ADSs. In my opinion, the only thing he really needs is like maybe an ACOG on his assault rifle so that he's a little more competitive in gunfights. But for his gadget, he really is in need of no changes. I don't really know why they made this change other than to maybe make things more universal and easy to understand, because Wamai had the ability to do that. And I always thought that that was an interesting upside to Wamai that made sense. And Ubisoft has also announced in Siege X that they're going to be nerfing Jackal heavily. Jackal inside of Siege X is going to have access to 5 scans instead of the usual 3 that he has. However, each scan will only give 1 ping. This means that every time you scan a defender's footprints, you're just going to get 1 ping and then it's going to go away. So it's not going to give you a whole lot of information. So this is going to be a massive nerf to Jackal, and in my opinion, an unnecessary one. Jackal is an operator that in my opinion was a lot more balanced, especially as of late, because of Ubisoft nerfing him so much in the past. There are definitely other operators that deserve nerfs more than this. I think both Deimos and Dokkaebi are both stronger than Jackal, so I don't know why they would levy a nerf so strong onto an operator like Jackal. And then finally, Ubisoft also announced that they're going to be reworking the electricity mechanic to where now Cade Electroclaws and Bandit batteries will no longer damage attackers. And on top of that, they will now destroy defender gadgets in their radius, which means that you no longer will be able to place Jaeger ADSs on a reinforced wall and stuff like that that is electrified. This is a very weird change in my opinion, considering that Ubisoft just allowed defenders to put their gadgets onto electrified surfaces, but it's definitely one of the better changes that's coming out of Siege X, at least from what we know so far. However, Ubisoft's balancing changes have just felt like they've been spinning a wheel, and then whatever it lands on, they decide to nerf or buff. It really doesn't make any logical sense while they're doing some of the changes they're making. And I obviously have to talk about the Clash rework that's coming, because she is an operator that a lot of people have been frustrated with for a while, and so reworking her does make sense. But it still feels like Ubisoft is just spinning a wheel, because like I said, there's 2 operators in this update that are getting changes that I don't think were by any means necessary, and there's a lot of other operators that could have used changes a lot more than them. However, there are a lot of other issues with Siege outside of just the balancing that are a lot more difficult to fix. First of all, there's the obvious cheater problem. Siege on PC has been getting absolutely destroyed by cheaters in pretty much every match. It's impossible to get a match in Siege without running into a cheater at this point, and console is running into very similar issues. From what I've heard from other content creators that are on console, a lot of players on console are running into strike packs more consistently, and they're also running into Zim a lot more as well. And it's really hard to find a normal match. And this has been something that I've been complaining about from Ubisoft for a very long time. They post updates on their Twitter all the time saying that they're making changes to the anti-cheat, but it's not doing anything to actually solve the problem because the cheaters still get past their updates within a couple days and then everything's back to normal. It's basically impossible to play Siege on your main account nowadays because you'll just run into cheaters the whole time if you're a high rank. And even if you can find a normal match, the ranked matchmaking absolutely sucks. There's been a lot of people complaining about it in the community recently. I'm definitely not the only person who has talked about it, and I'm kind of kicking a dead horse here, but rank 2.0 definitely does not feel like it's up to par. You can load into a match and go up against an entire team of bronzes and be a champion. I've had this happen multiple times, and typically it just ends up with you absolutely stomping them, 4-0ing them, and then moving on. But you can also run up against an entire Pro League stack when you're in silver. I've been on Smurf accounts before that I've never hit champion on or even diamond on, and then gone up against players that I play with all the time on my champion account. The matchmaking really doesn't feel good right now, and it kind of makes ranked feel miserable to play. I've kind of lost all motivation to even grind for champion charms anymore because it's really not even worth the pain to get to it. And as Ricci pointed out in his video, it also feels like that the ranked rewards have been getting less and less interesting. You know, old Siege ranked charms used to look absolutely amazing. I think some of these really old like diamond and champion charms were really sick. However, more recently the charms have been degrading in quality and they just don't look nearly as good as they used to. I do like the fact that Ubisoft has been giving us headgears for hitting gold, but I kind of feel like there should be more rewards to rank to incentivize people to play, like maybe a champion weapon skin if you achieve champion at some point in the season. Things like that would help motivate people to continue to play the game and to push for those final rewards. And outside of the matchmaking as well, there's also a lot of issues with the reputation system, in my opinion. The reputation system right now has a lot of flaws, and that's mainly because of the fact that you basically can't say anything in text chat without getting yourself negative reputation. You basically can't shit talk at all in Siege anymore. If you tell the enemy team that they suck, you'll lose reputation. If you tell them that they need to uninstall, there's a very high chance that you'll lose reputation. And you also just can't even say profanity in text chat, which the game is rated M. There's no reason why we can't in text chat use curse words. It kind of feels like I'm playing Roblox with the level of filtering Ubisoft is doing in the text chat. I do understand that toxicity is a problem in Siege and that they want to curve that, but the current way that they're trying to do it is going way too far. You basically have to just disable text chat if you want to have any chance of not losing reputation. And it's not like their chat filters are doing very much, because I've seen personally in my games, and I've also seen other content creators have this in their games, where people will have streamer names with slurs in their name and other just absolutely toxic shit inside of their usernames. And Ubisoft isn't filtering that out apparently, but they won't allow you to type fuck in the text chat. And the reputation system also has side effects for the cheater issue. As Varsity Gaming pointed out in this Twitter thread, it's basically impossible now to TK or grief cheaters from being able to win games, because if you do that, the reputation system is going to tank your reputation, and then you'll eventually just not be able to play ranked at all. And so now, because of the reputation system, players basically have to allow a cheater to win so that they can continue to play ranked. Obviously, the reputation system should punish people for TKing. I'm not saying it shouldn't. I'm just saying it's kind of unfortunate that the reputation system is in place when the cheater problem is so bad right now, because it does make our ability to counter cheaters or to make cheaters' lives more annoying hampered. And because of all of these issues that I've discussed, it's made content creation for people like myself and many others in the community a lot more difficult. As Ricci said in his video when he was talking about Twitch, the viewership for Siege has gone down a whole lot recently. Twitch streamers for Siege just aren't getting the same views that they used to. Most Siege creators aren't getting the same views that they used to. There's some exceptions like Sir Pineapple, who's been absolutely popping off in the Siege scene, but most people are not pushing the same views that they used to. And that's mainly because there's just not as much interest in Siege as there once was. So a lot of content creators have been struggling recently, at least from what I've discussed, with the ability to keep pushing and to keep making content. And it doesn't really help that recently there hasn't been any new or exciting updates. Now, obviously Siege X is going to be a pretty big update, and hopefully it will bring a lot more viewership back to Siege. However, I have a lot of complaints about Siege X that I want to go over now that make me skeptical as to whether or not it's actually going to improve the state of the game and make the community satisfied. My biggest concern when it comes to Siege X, from what I've tested, is the stability. When Siege X launched in beta, it was basically impossible to run on most systems. A lot of my friends with lower tier PCs literally couldn't open the game without it crashing, or their FPS would be in the absolute can. And my stability on the Siege X beta was not very good either. I have a 4090 in my PC and a 13900K. I should pretty much be able to run every game at good frame rates. However, when I played the Siege X beta, the game was constantly dropping frames. It was very hard to record because, especially when OBS was open and I was recording, my FPS would drop sometimes below 120. And with that occurring on my system with such high level specs, it concerns me how the game is going to perform on people who have the average run-of-the-mill PC with maybe like a 3070 in it. I think Siege X will probably end up hurting the game's overall stability and most likely end up hurting the FPS. Obviously, we don't know that yet because it hasn't come out, but that Siege X beta definitely worried me. So I'm hoping that those issues were just a beta related issue and that they'll get ironed out when the game actually comes out, but you can never be sure about that. Outside of just that, I think also the fact that Siege X is going to be going free to play is a huge concern because it's going to allow a lot of cheaters to basically overrun quick match and standard. And as we have discussed previously, Ubisoft has not been very successful at countering the cheater issue. And so I think free to play might make every playlist other than ranked unplayable. And another reason why I think Siege X is a big disappointment, at least for me, is because the main selling point of Siege X is this new game mode that's going to be a 6v6 mode where players have to complete objectives on a large map and they have to both attack and defend objectives. I think this mode is a complete gimmick. I don't think it's going to have very much competitive integrity. I think players will get bored of this within a few months of launch because there's not many reasons for people to play that mode over the original Siege mode. And so I think it'll just turn into like an arcade playlist scenario where players play it a few times every once in a while and pretty much never touch it. And with most of Siege X's resources likely going to this new playlist, it's very disappointing to me. I would have rather seen Ubisoft focus a lot of their efforts towards rebalancing the game or doing something more productive for the actual core game. Anyways, with all these complaints out of the way, what does all these problems with Siege mean for me and my channel? Well, as you guys know, a long time ago, I got really frustrated with Siege and I decided to quit, and then I came back shortly after. I'm not going to be doing that this time, and I'm going to still keep making content for Siege because I do love the game and I hope that it does well. However, I just wanted to vent my concerns related to the game because I've noticed a lot of content creators seem to be afraid to talk about it, and I kind of just wanted to air out my issues with the game. There is the year 10 roadmap that's coming right around the corner, and I'm going to be watching it before uploading this video. So if there's anything that they address in the roadmap that I talked about in this video, I'll include it after this outro. But even though I am still going to be making Siege content, I do think I am going to start dropping the uploads on this channel. I'm going to drop down to 1 upload a week just for the near future so that I can see how Siege X plays out. If Siege X comes out and a lot of my concerns aren't valid, I'll probably go back to uploading twice a week. However, for right now, I want to start uploading once a week so that I can focus on my second channel that I started a long time ago and that I haven't really uploaded to in a very long time. On my second channel, I upload video essays where I cover game franchises, and I also post like gaming retrospectives. So if that is the kind of content that you enjoy watching, you can go subscribe to this channel because me and my editor are working on 2 videos that we hope to get out within the next month or 2. But I'm going to continue to keep an eye out on Siege. I'm going to continue to upload once a week on this channel until basically the game is dead. I'm committed to continuing to upload on this channel for a while into the future, but I just wanted to air my concerns and kind of update you guys on how I feel about the game going forward, because I feel like you guys deserve the transparency, and because I kind of feel like there's a lot of people in the community that don't get the opportunity to share their grievances with the game on a wider platform. Anyways, that's going to wrap up today's video. I appreciate all of you guys for listening and watching through this entire video because it is kind of ranty, but I felt it was kind of necessary. And if you enjoyed today's video, I make these content just like this twice a week. So go subscribe to the channel and follow me on Twitter if you don't want to miss the next upload. Now, if you want to watch another video, a video will be popping up on your screen right now that I'm sure you all enjoy. And I'll also have my second channel pop up on the screen right now if you want to go check that out as well. I appreciate all of you guys for supporting me, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.